Bismillahirrahmanirrahim and Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuhu. This is Dr. Muhammad Mushtaba Asad from Sakkharaibi University, Pakistan. I am very thankful to the organizers, Lead Philippines, the Leadership in Education and Development Academy for inviting me to this international conference, virtual international conference on multidisciplinary trends in educational research. So today I have decided to share my thought as one of the speaker for this conference related to digital competencies and skills for 21st century educators. As we all know that currently in this situation, because right now we have this is one of very key element which is as a pedagogue, as educator, as one of the policy maker, we have to keep in consideration that what are the skills which are required and needed in this current situation, especially for the educators, because all over the world still we are facing several challenges and issues related to integrate or come up with some innovative pedagogical approaches with the help of technology. So the digital literacy is as we all know, that digital literacy is one of the major element which is required from both sides, either from the educators and the learners perspective. So if we are talking about the digital competencies of educators, as we have already highlighted these issues, and there are several research studies which already conducted, and we have also we also play one of the major part to develop and come up with those areas which we need to highlight, that where we have to work for developing the competencies and skills among the educators. So according to our research findings, and also in the light of previous literature, that most of the educators, either they are in the schools, colleges, or either in higher education institutions, that there is a huge gap in terms of adaptability. Because previously in the previous days it was not that much in consideration, not that much the focus was to integrate technology in our classrooms, to integrate technology in our pedagogical approaches. So now it is necessary as an educator, it is necessary for everyone to come up with some innovative approaches with the help of technology, with the help of the competence in terms of digitally literate educators, in terms of equipped high-tech classrooms, in terms of the latest gadgets and technologies integration in the classrooms. And these all things or these all elements can be aligned with the help of some trainings which we can provide to our educators to develop those competency in them. The educators, either they are the teacher of technology, either they are a teacher of engineering, either they are a teacher of social sciences, they must possess these skills, because these are one of the major aspect in terms of in terms of delivery in the classrooms, either in the delivery in the virtual mode, either we are using some virtual platforms for like teaching and learning process. So we must have to go through with these competencies. Like the teacher must know that how he or she can come up with some recorded videos, how he or she can record and edit the audio clips, video clips. They can record, they can come up with a digital courseware, they can come up with their own content. So that is one of the major competence that is required in the all levels, that a teacher or the educators must come up with these skills of recording and editing itself, and then come up with the creative content in terms of where they can engage their learners, where they can take them on board while the process of teaching or learning. So this is one of the critical elements, because as we know that in 21st century, if we are talking about 21st century skills, so collaboration, communication, creativity, critical thinking, these skills are always required from the both sides. As an educator, we have to develop such skills. We have to use these approaches, these tactics, these strategies, and we have to develop those skills among our learners, among our students. So they must have also some softwares command, like they know that how to operate, they know how to use these online digital modes, they such as like we have Edmodo, we have Kahoot for the quizzes, we have different LMS where we can upload the material for the students. So teacher must know that how they can develop that digital courseware, how they can develop that digital content, and how they can use these platforms to share or to collaborate with the learners. So these are the skills which are highly recommended, and I think most of the educators, they are using these skills. But there is another challenge that is always like highlighted from the educators or from the teachers' perspective, that these competencies and skills cannot be developed without providing them the proper trainings, without developing those competencies with some professional development programs among educators. So here the leadership role is very important. Here the leadership have to play, or the policymakers have to play, like this is the time for them to integrate or to come in or jump in terms of the policy making, where they can integrate these elements, that the educators must be provided with all the technological needs, they must be provided all the required trainings, because there are some deficiencies or there is a lack of adaptability or the skill among the educators. So these competencies cannot be developed without trainings. So here the policymakers, the head of the educational institutions, they can play their role. They can enhance, they can specify some funding for them, they can invite some resource persons, some technologists, or they have the technological knowledge, they have pedagogical knowledge, so the blend of both. So they can have such trainings, competencies based trainings, roadmap for the educators, so where they can further enhance their skills, or we can develop their competencies. So also they must have the command on developing the PLN, the using the PLNs, that where they can further grow professionally, further grow content wise. So similarly, they also need to emphasize on these areas, they need to work on these areas, where they can use some platforms, such platforms where they can collaborate with other educators. They can learn from their good practices. There should be some specific database must be available for them. The database is not just limited to the literature. There will be also some softwares, tools, gadgets, some platforms, digital platforms from them, so where they can enhance and develop their competencies. So nowadays, the digital literacy among the educator is one of the very important elements, and either in the school, colleges, or higher education institutions around the globe, everyone is focusing for that. They are now moving toward virtual classrooms. They are developing their digital competencies and skills, where they can for teaching a learning process, they can also invent or further enhance the pedagogies, where the most of the students, because if we are talking about the approach which is very much always in consideration and very much effective as well, the constructivist approach, where they believe that the learning by doing. So like through gamifications, through developing such like dynamic nature of not the static, dynamic nature of platforms, where everyone can participate easily and they can learn effectively. The teacher must have these skills where they can develop those content and share with the students through these particular approaches, or through these particular platforms as well. So such things are very important because it will also enhance their learning skills. It will also enhance their literacy skills in terms of information, in terms of media, in terms of technology. Similarly, it will also improve or further the next step of their life skills, such as flexibility, such as leadership skills, such as interactiveness in their content, productivity, creativity, and socially they will also strengthen, because because when we are talking about like in the previous days what we have faced, and still some countries are still facing these issues where the life is so much disturbed. There was a psychological concerns and issues among the students and their parents as well. So we need such platforms where we can provide our students, where we can provide our all the stakeholders, they can provide each other and also to the students and their parents the flexible environment, or the environment where they can be consider themselves flexible and socially they are connected. So in 21st century we have to build such skills among our educators, and educators must have to work together. The pedagogical perspectives and technological practices must be blended. Like nowadays we have blended learning approaches, flipped classroom approaches. Hybrid mode is now always on the preferences among the educators and also the institutions. So we need to build such professional development and competency skill development programs and frameworks for as the leaders, as head of institutions or the policymakers, or those they were providing them all these available materials for their professional development, because training is one of the very major and key element to develop these competencies, which are 21st century digital competencies among educators. So that's all from my side, and I wish you all the best and best wishes. Good luck to all the presenters, and I'm very thankful again for the organizers for inviting me to this conference, and thank you very much, and all the best. If you have any question, you can share with the organizer, and later on I will respond to them. Thank you very much, and Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.